Hi, this is Robert, one half of the 12-Pound Podcast. Welcome back to our show. We are so excited to be speaking with you. As a quick reminder, our show discusses life's changes and how we hope to help you face them through shared stories and experiences. Before we get started, I want to introduce you to my wonderful co-host, Mom. Hey, Bobby.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
How are we doing?
I'm doing quite well. Thank you for asking.
2 for 2.
I was be laughing. You sent me a thing to pay attention to, listen to on laughing. So I'm still in the laughing zone of. It was a little crazy.
It was a calm.
It was good.
It was a calm meditation from Jay Shetty. I can never remember his last name, but he does these dailies. I don't listen to them every day, but sometimes they look fun. And it was the importance of humor in life.
The difference between humor and odor?
Yeah, humor.
Humor is a shift of wit.
A shift of shit? A shift
You
of wit?
You just ruined my dad joke.
Say it again.
Jeez, you can't. That's Rob. Oh, when you have to repeat the joke, you just screwed it up.
Well,
but
I missed it.
What's the difference between humor and odor?
What?
Humor is a shift of wit.
I like that.
Yeah, I thought it's timely.
It is timely. So let's get witty.
Okay, so
we're back.
Yeah, it was on laughter and how fake laughing kind of is good for you. And
you said there's a class somewhere for that does this?
There is. I don't know when I saw it, but people are actually paying money to, like, you would go do yoga or you would go do Tai Chi. And it's a laughing class. Look it up if you think I'm kidding you.
Don't tell me what to do.
I'll tell you what to do. I will tell you what to do. Look, he's got that scared look. Like he's.
Look it up.
I know that look.
Look
it up. Okay. I swear, because I don't, make stuff up.
We'll check that.
Check that out. I don't embellish.
Well, we're back. It's the second episode. We are on episode 27, which I'm very excited about.
27. Play that number.
Yeah, 27. We've done well. We had said before, just to kind of revisit the last episode, we're back. We had come back from hiatus for lots of different reasons, pickleball being the primary one. Secondary was professional. I had some stuff going on the work front. And then, life, vacation, health, all the usual stuff.
Life happens.
That's what they say. It's happening right now.
It is happening right now.
Yeah.
It is happening.
It's happening all around us.
I know. It's really happening. And I don't know if I've said this before, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to say it again. When I microwave stuff and reheat stuff and you hit the thing in the 2 minutes and it starts counting down. And almost every time I see that, I don't know if this is a problem. I should go talk to somebody about this. Mm-hmm. Every time I see it going down, I think how quickly that's time you'll never see again.
Oh, have you done the math yet? Do that. How many coffees do you have a day? Or how many times do you heat that up a day?
Like one thing, maybe 3.
3 times a day?
Maybe.
For 2 minutes at a time?
No. I just said it's set to 2 minutes. So no, it's only like maybe 20 seconds.
Okay. So 1 minute a day.
1 minute a day.
So 365 minutes a year you're spending in front of that microwave. Multiply that times 50, it gets quite scary.
I know.
I did this exercise. I don't know, again, because
So you relate to that?
Oh, totally.
It's not crazy.
No,
okay.
I was, I was just talking to someone recently, and I don't know why I started doing it, but I've been telling. People will ask, you're doing something new. What made you leave the financial services industry? And usually my first answer is, travel. I was traveling so much that, I just wasn't home. It was challenging with kids and just life in general. So I started thinking about how much time I've spent in the air. So I looked at my miles, all of the miles that I've accumulated across all of my airlines. And when I did the math, I've been either on a plane, in an airport, or on the way to the airport for a little over a year of my life. So
wow.
It was eye-opening. So I was thinking to myself, I love flying. Don't get me wrong. I love I like watching the movie, and I like reading, and I like, there are some aspects to it, despite what most people think, that are nice, especially if you do it a lot. However, I had no intention to spend that much time in the air. So, it just started to become really apparent that it's nice to experience life from the ground. You only get so much from the air. Now, when you get to where you go, I'm not going to argue with that. I think it's wonderful and you get new experiences and get to meet new people. But when you're traveling for work, the joke I always say is I've seen everything, but what do I say? Now I'm losing track of what I say.
What you always say.
What do I always say? This is what I always say. What do I always say? I've been everywhere, but I've seen nothing.
And it's interesting. If you spent a year, you really ought to think about that, which you have. If you take something else that you do and you do the math and it's something you really don't like doing and it adds up and takes that kind of time off of your life, you might want to think about how to change that up a little bit because, I always say the meter's running. I mean, it is really running.
That's how I felt. I'm 45. When I did this, it was earlier this year. And, I look at my kids, how quickly they grow up. And, like you said, if you count down a minute on the microwave and you start doing something else, it's gone.
Yeah, it's gone.
So that's the real parallel. It's as soon as you start doing something else, it's gone. The time goes.
That's freaky.
So that's what's so freaky. And that's parenting, right? Your days are so busy. And they're most of our listeners, I'm sure, are parents or or grandparents or going to be parents at some point maybe. And it never ceases to amaze me how fast those days go, especially, when you're running around trying to get them from one place to another. Oh my goodness. I had to get someplace at 11 a.m. on a Saturday this weekend. And and that's the other thing too. There should be awards for parents for punctuality. Like if you get somewhere with a 3-year-old and a 6-year-old on time, we give awards out for everything. We can't give awards out for that. Should be like a Nobel Prize. Yeah, I was so excited. And my one of my oldest friends also arrived at the same time, 11 a.m. And we both, when we walked up to each other, we didn't even say hello. We just looked at each other and acknowledged what we had just accomplished.
Right.
He has a 5-year-old and an 8-year-old and 2 girls, and I've got 2 girls. And and then we had some fun.
It's been a long time ago, but I remember my closest friend used to say, as we did a lot of stuff together with our 4 kids, 4 boys, and I had 2 18 months apart. So there's a lot of equipment.
Who's the other one? Oh, Doug. Yeah,
Douglas.
That's right. Sorry,
yes,
I forgot about
you
him.
can catch him singing at the beginning of our show at the end.
And at the end. I know. I love that.
And at the end.
I think we're going to try to see him. I'm going to see him in September.
Yeah, absolutely. But anyway, you've got all of this equipment, especially to you young parents out there that I hope we have some listening with babies. And, you're loading diaper bags and food and wipes and towels and this seat. And it's even crazier today because I've had, my niece has had a little gorgeous little baby boy, and the equipment is on steroids now. It's on steroids. You have a seat just to sit in, a seat to rock in, a seat to swivel in. It's
crazy.
It's crazy.
It's really interesting.
And they're beautiful.
I actually brought this up on a financial services podcast. We were talking about choice and how many choices we now have. And in fact, it's probably one of the worst things that can happen, whether you're making an investment decision or you're making a decision for a new bassinet. We're presented with so much choice. So this particular person, he worked for a big financial services firm. He's a behavioral scientist, so he has a PhD in just understanding why people make the decisions that they do. And it was amazing that when people are presented with all of this choice, you know what they usually do? Nothing.
Yeah, it's overwhelming.
It's overwhelming.
Yeah,
it creates
sure.
paralysis. So you end up just kind of
paralysis by analysis.
Exactly, and it's really interesting. So in investments, you just see it today. There are just so many choices in everything. And I was, because I'm not a PhD, and I was trying to relate it to our audience. I was thinking about the first time I went to Bye Bye Baby with Dad. Wow. And Dad, he was involved. Maybe not as much as you. He was involved, right? Yeah. He could not get over the amount of options there were. It was just because it's just crazy, like how many brands of strollers do you need?
Or seats, car seats.
Or anything, or the seat that goes on top of the car seat, or you know what I mean,
Right.
or the cup holder, because you can't buy that. They don't come together. The cup holder that goes in the car seat. I don't know how parents do
How
it.
about the cup? There's a whole aisle
Oh,
of sippy cups.
crazy.
It's like you could spend. It is crazy.
You don't know. I mean, that's we talk about. I think one of the things that your generation definitely had better was the lack of choice. There,
We had enough though, more so than my mom.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we had enough choice.
And when you say that out loud, you're like, oh, no, I wish it's great. We have so many choices now. We can go on Amazon. But I don't think so. It's too much.
Yeah, well, it takes so much time.
Yeah.
It takes so much time.
Yeah, and if time is our most,
And which we were just talking about,
Yeah.
which is ticking down. So how much time have you spent? That's an interesting thing. How much time has one spent on the computer, on Amazon, researching the best car seat?
oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's when there's only two, it's a shorter period of time to
Oh,
go on and read
absolutely.
a couple reviews, end of story. But anyway, we would load up all of this stuff. And I remember my friend used to say, I could be president of General Motors. I mean, this is like the time just to load up the car. Plus, I have to tell you, being kind of an old lady now myself with very young grandchildren, boy, I forgot, like, your cars look like a shithole. I mean, there
yeah.
are French fries and stuff and loaded up to the gills.
Oh, it's brutal. I'm getting my car detailed tomorrow,
Oh,
actually.
yeah, it's brutal. It
Yeah.
is brutal.
Yeah,
it's brutal.
It is brutal. Yeah, your car goes through hell. So that's your car. Imagine what your insides look like.
Margot's little 6-year-old different car seat has a cup holder.
I know. It's insane.
It has a cup holder.
I know. She's got so much. She's so funny.
Great. It's
Speaking
that
of
is
Margot,
great.
she's on a scare. She loves scary stories right now and horror. She's really into like scary movies, and not like horror, like the haunted house, the haunted mansion, kind of stuff.
Halloween.
Disney Halloween, even though it's not close to Halloween. So last night, I was putting them to bed, and I'm giving Josephine's already fallen asleep there in the bunk beds. And, I go give Margot a kiss and I tell her good night. And she whispers to me and she goes, Daddy, I'm scared. And I said, oh, what are you scared about? There's nothing to be scared about. She goes, oh, I don't want to tell you. I said, oh, it's okay. And she goes, well, can I tell you? Is it all right? I said, yeah, of course. She goes, I think Josephine's a monster. So I paused and I said, she is. Learn what I did. Don't put your hand too close to her mouth. Feed her when she's hungry. And just generally leave her alone. Let's just all hope that this pays off for us. That this pays off. I was thinking to myself, let's all hope this pays off for us when she's in her 20s and 30s and she's really going to take care of us.
Right.
Because I do think that's what's going to happen. And then she goes, I don't think so. I said, well, you might be right.
Oh, that's so funny. That scare thing, I actually asked her when she was here this weekend what she was the most scared, because I saw a question on something in people's answers, and what she was most scared of. And because I was trying to think of, I don't know if it's a good or a bad thing, but initially I couldn't really come up with something that I'm really scared of. But Margot did instantly, and her answer was fish. I said, Margot, what are you the most scared of? She didn't even think long. It was boom, fish. And I was like, okay, so I guess it's fish and Joe.
I hear often, I think the thing people are most scared of, funny enough, is public speaking. I think it'd be death, but I think in most polls,
I would think it'd be death.
When they, I'll have to Google it, but I think when they ask people what they're most afraid of, instinctively they say public speaking. Heights is another big one.
Darkness, dark,
being in the dark,
storms,
yeah. People don't
weather.
usually say death. I don't think they want to acknowledge that, but public speaking. But I think starting something new can be pretty scary.
But most scared of, what are you most scared of? Because, you figure you're not, I guess it could be starting something new. But, yeah, and everybody's got something different, What were you most scared of as a child, as opposed to, I think the word scared is a little strong for me. But growing up at the beach, I love the ocean. But I don't like the ocean at night. Like I wouldn't want to be out in the ocean on a boat in the pitch black at night. Am I scared of it? No, I don't like it. So I guess my question to me should be, what a pain in the ass I am when people, can you imagine? That happens to me all the time. It just reminded me when people ask me a question, I have to like reword it, like rephrase it so it makes sense to me. So that makes sense to me.
It
What
does.
don't I like? What don't you like the most? Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense because
Yeah.
you're an adult.
Yeah. So the scared kind of thing is.
What don't I like the most? I don't know. I have to think about it.
Yeah.
I don't mind. Yeah, I don't think there's anything I really dislike, but
Lima beans.
I don't mind.
I
you
would
know.
put lima beans up there at the top
Oh,
of my
mayonnaise.
list.
Mayonnaise. I dislike
There
mayonnaise.
you go. Mayonnaise. You and Uncle Scott.
I take it personally when I tell, like, if I'm in a restaurant and I've said specifically to, take off no mayo, no sour cream, and when it comes with it, I don't like that.
You see the face.
I don't. I get
like
so
that.
concerned about that.
No
I'm like, were you
bueno.
even listening to me?
Probably not.
Yeah. So, but anyway, it can be scary. But we were talking last time. You started something new. You started pickleball.
Yeah, we talked about that on our last podcast. And
I'm just curious. Take me because I don't know what made you want to do it.
well, what we talked about on the last podcast was having to get out after.
But how'd you find it? Like, why pickleball? Did you know it existed?
I knew it existed. I was a tennis player. And a lot of tennis people were, at least people I knew, I don't think they thought pickleball was real. It was kind of like pickleball. That's not even a sport. Mm-hmm. And I know it was. And it interested me because, so many people were playing it. So I have to say I didn't vocalize my opinion there because, I was over, playing tennis. So they had turned 2 courts into pickleball courts over there. But at that time, nobody was even using them. But I needed to get out and about. And it was like, what can I do? What's going to get me moving, physically moving? Because when I'm physically moving, it's a huge, boy, that was like a whistle when I said huge. Yeah. To say it right. Huge. Yeah.
You say huge.
I say huge a lot.
You say huge a lot.
I do. How come?
And you drop the H and you whistle at the end. It's adorable.
I do, don't I?
Yeah.
Now I'm going to be conscious of this all the time.
That's what happens.
I know.
That's why you're on the, you're a personality now.
Huge.
You're a public persona.
Oh, wow. I'm a huge
You're
persona.
a huge persona.
I do. I hear it and I hear it every time. Yeah. Oh, this is terrible. So anyway, I needed to start something new. I have things that happen in my life that were just not terribly pleasant.
Had you been thinking about it for a long time?
No, not really. Not really thinking about it like, oh, I've got to. No, it was, in speaking to someone and trying to figure out like where to, to jumpstart almost my excitement and what to do again. Pickleball came to the forefront, and because I love sports, I love competition. It excites me. It gets my battery charged. So I thought about it. Yeah, I would say long enough.
What was that first time? The first time you get out there, did you buy paddles?
No. Yes, I did. Well, I made a decision. I made a decision in my mind that I was going to play pickleball. That was probably the next step. And then the big step was driving up the road an hour to look at paddles. And I bought one. So now I've invested.
It's official.
Now it's official.
It's official.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
There's a chance I could bow out.
Bobby Joe spent money.
Bobby Joe, exactly. I did.
God.
Right. So now I've got a paddle.
Yep.
And you kind of look stupid with and then my sister-in-law, whom I love, surprised me with a pickleball, came in the mail. It was the most exciting thing ever because I was looking at them to buy and she didn't know that. And what arrived was a pickleball backpack. So cool looking. If we were on video, I'd show it to you. It's awesome.
I like that. I like that the decision to do something was supported.
Well, it's almost like this is what happens in life. We'll get to that, but this is what happens. It's like a chain reaction. It's like all of a sudden you've made this decision. That's the big step. I took some action. Mm-hmm. The action was buying the paddle. Mm-hmm. For somebody else, they might need a different type of action, but that was a good action for me. And that action seemed to, for whatever reason, set off, which is what seems to happen in life, set off this chain reaction of good stuff happening. So I've got the paddle, I've invested the money. Now I've got to find a place because I don't know jack shit about this game, right? I'm a tennis player.
Did you look at some videos?
Actually, I don't think, maybe I was looking at videos, but a neighbor, shout out to South Carolina, shout out, miss you. A neighbor was telling me about where you could, or who was giving lessons or whatever. And that was up the road in Middle Township, a woman named Mindy. It's Dinkit Pickleball, right? So I looked that up, Googled it, signed up for beginner stuff because it's all different rules, regulations, and all kinds of crazy stuff that I was like, what? This is so I really needed to do that. Most sports, I would say I probably wouldn't, but this you actually do.
Yeah, I was wondering that because some sports you can kind of jump right into, but it is a deterrent. Like I know some, like I talked about last episode, then I got back into rowing, and you can't just get into rowing. You've got to, and it's not just because it's it's a technical sport, meaning you've got to learn how to row. But before you can go a certain distance on the river, you have to have so many hours, or you have to have so many lessons. Right. So there's a cost involved, both time and
good to know all this stuff. And pickleball has a billion rules that over the years they've changed and changed.
Yeah, it must be changing all the time because
oh my goodness, how you can serve, what you can't do, where you can be. I told you the funniest. I always tell people what you said. I'm not much of a cook. Actually, not much of one. I would say I'm not one at all.
Yeah, I don't think there's any food in the cabinets.
And so just has never been my passion by any stretch of the imagination. And there's an area in pickleball called a kitchen that you're not allowed to be in. And as a tennis player, I was always caught in the kitchen early on because I'm used to being so aggressive at the net. And I told Robert, this smart ass over here, my son, that I'm always in the kitchen. I've got to, learn. And he goes, well, that's interesting that you're, for somebody that's never in the kitchen.
That's your best, that's your strongest spot.
That's my strongest spot. Yeah, my strongest spot. So anyway, I took a lesson, probably a couple, and started playing up there. And that was great. Learned the rules, most important. You hone your game a different way, but you've got to know how to play, how to keep score. It's all really crazy. Mm-hmm. And so that was that. And then the most interesting thing was, and I got interested in pickleball because I needed to increase my social, to meet some people.
Yeah, you got to get out.
Get out, meet some people.
Yeah, you're starting to.
It's harder to meet people when you're older. It really is. Sounds crazy, but lots of friends, things change. Like your group of friends when you're back in an area where you grew up, people are gone. People have passed away. That's a ridiculous thing, but it's the truth of life. They're gone, period. Mm-hmm. They're not coming back. And, so all of that, that party you used to be able to throw together and invite 100 of your closest friends. That's what I say. I'm going to throw a party. I'm inviting 100 of my closest friends. If 2 of them can't come, party's off because the rest of you are just warm bodies. It's like, right?
Yeah.
So those days are over. Good luck. Good luck. Oh, I would love to come, but my grandchildren are here.
Yeah,
my parents are here. I can't.
Oh, it's so hard to get on.
I've got a colonoscopy, Okay, great. So I wanted to meet people, and it's a very social sport. And pickleball players are really friendly. They're really friendly. I don't know but they are. So I was going over because I'm one to practice something a lot to a court. Tennis courts, a couple tennis courts that not too many people know about that are, converted to pickleball.
Yeah, that seems to be happening everywhere. So that's what's so interesting is how social it is.
Very social.
Because it's like, I was just thinking about it. It relates to, I can relate to it as pickup basketball. Like I could go with myself, over to any basketball court and generally play pickup 2-on-2, 3-on-3. Now for you, it's always going to be 2-on-2, but you can kind of pick up, right? You can get in, and does it rotate
Absolutely.
like that? Yeah,
absolutely.
That's awesome.
Absolutely. Anywhere it's called open play, and it's all it's everywhere. Stone
Mm-hmm.
Harbor, Avalon, North Wildwood. It's everywhere.
Oh, it's in.
It's amazing.
No, it's in Lyons, Colorado. I was in Colorado week before last, and they had. So this is this development in the middle of Roosevelt National Forest. It's technically in Lyons, but it's directly in between the town of Lyons and Estes Park, Colorado. So it feels like you're in the middle of the woods. I mean, you are in the middle of the woods, but it really feels
and
like.
There's pickleball.
I mean, it's so remote that there's a helicopter pad next to the tennis court. So if there were an emergency,
somebody gets hurt, yeah,
the helicopter comes in, and it actually was practicing while we were there. But it was funny. The last time I was there, last summer, I was thinking to myself, oh, this would be a great pickleball court. And lo and behold, it took less than a year. And this single court in the middle of the Rocky Mountains is now pickleball. And guess what? Filled the entire time. Rotating
Isn't that
people.
amazing?
Yeah, there are 150 houses in this association, a pool, a playground, a helipad, and a tennis court. Well, it's not a tennis court anymore. Now it's 2 pickleball courts. And they were just rotating in and out. People were having such a blast. So it was really fun to watch it.
It's
so
great.
it's every. I mean, it really
Yeah, it's
is everywhere.
everywhere.
We were talking about how fast it's grown last episode, but it's
crazy. I was just playing day before yesterday, and a new friend, really great woman, spends a lot of time in Nicaragua, and pickleball.
That's what happens.
Pickleball in Nicaragua. So it's that's what happens,
Yeah.
and so it's
I think it's interesting. We had mentioned this before we were recording, and I just had a thought. But when you go, you're trying to make friends now for the first time. And what you're really doing in making these friends is you're asking somebody to play with you. Will you play with me?
sort of like a
It's
little kid.
Like a little kid.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, you're those foundational relationships have kind of
that's
come
cute. I like
full
that.
circle. It's like you're going back and say, "Can I play with you? Can I join you? Can I play with you guys?" And it's funny. There's a couple of reasons I mention it. One is that you're having to ask someone, not really for help, but you're having to ask them to join you.
Can I join?
Can I join you? Thank you. And then you're having to have fun. You're doing something fun. So I think if you want a lesson as an adult, it's a pretty good sport. There's some lessons there. You're basically asking to play with someone, and it's not work. It's fun. It's not advice. It's not a favor. You're not asking for money. You're just asking to have fun with them. And I think that's
absolutely, and
that says a lot.
and back to what I was saying, how things just take off and evolve is amazing.
Yeah.
What it can lead to, and it doesn't have to be. There's always where I tend to go, but it's true. It doesn't have to be pickleball. It could be something else that you got yourself involved in that just started here, and where it grew and what it morphed into is just amazing. I was practicing a serve, which is a very different serve than in tennis, and much easier, but very different. And there was another woman on another court practicing. And I thought, I don't want to bug her, or like you were saying, but like to put yourself out there, and said, hey, although I thought about asking 6 times before I actually did, and can I serve to you? When we could really, and you could hit it back and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, yeah, great.
Mm-hmm.
So fast forward, that turned into a small group of women that we play usually on the weekends early. We've got a mass text with each other where it's really, I'm just sitting here smiling because it's just amazing to me that what happens when you put yourself out there.
Yeah, it's hard to do. It's hard to ask other people for something. It doesn't need to be help, but just to ask someone else for something. And I think as soon as you do that, and you put yourself out there, it does, and I think the other side of that, I think about that a lot. It is good to ask for help, but it's also it's good to give help. So I always think about it as, it's a mutually beneficial relationship, and that isn't meant to sound professional. It's just meant to say, if you're going to be a friend to me, I'm going to be a friend to you. And, for that, it makes a lot of sense. You're a partner on a court, you're practicing, doing drills, whatever it is.
Absolutely. So. And to look at something, that asking or giving, give and take kind of thing. I try to remember to say to myself when I'm hesitant to put myself out there, if someone asked me, what would you say? Of course. Right. So that's pretty much what do you know what I mean? Turn it around,
yeah.
And that usually gets you maybe a little bit more moving to do it. But I'm so glad I did. None of this would have taken place without the thought, the decision, bingo, the action, no matter what it is. If you don't take any action, nothing's going to happen. You'll just have that thought, and then it turns into beating yourself up.
Yeah.
Oh, I've got this racket and I haven't done anything.
Yeah, I wish I did it.
I wish I'd done it. Why am I not going out there? What's wrong with me? Blah, 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 blah. Right?
Yeah.
Right? Just one little step, and, now it's...
yeah, sometimes big steps can lead to big things.
Little steps.
Little steps, rather.
Yes.
Yeah, big steps, too.
No, Rob, little steps.
Well, if I take a bigger step...
Rob, you've screwed up, so just try to stop.
Yeah,
That's
it's
the
true.
snort again. You snorted in the last episode.
I did. Well, it's a thing now.
Is this a new thing?
I've reinvented myself.
You've reinvented yourself.
I've reinvented myself as a snorter.
A snorter.
Going back to the first episode
mackerel.
of our new comeback tour.
Yeah, we're back.
Yeah, the comeback tour is happening.
The comeback tour.
It's our second episode. I am so happy to be back. We have a lot to offer this coming season. We've got many, many episodes coming up. We've got a few interviews I'm sure we're going to be doing over the next few episodes as well. We still need to talk to some family. I don't know if you remember last season, Mom, but we interviewed, as part of the 12 by 20s, we interviewed a U.S. team national rower, Solveig Imsdal. She was going to the World Championships with her rowing partner, Lainey Tierney. They're going back this year. So we were thinking about maybe trying to interview them again and hearing what the second round is going to look like. They got a silver last year. They lost to the Italians.
Really?
Yeah, but they're feeling good this year.
Cool.
I know they're rowing well. So maybe we'll get them on the microphones. But there's a lot coming up this season. So as always, you can listen to this episode and past episodes at www.12poundpodcast.com. You can find a variety of information there, as well as some coaching advice. Don't forget, Mom is a life coach, and there's some information there if you're interested in hearing more about her services. So thank you again, Mom.
Rob.
We're doing it.
Rob.
I like this.
Yeah, it's good. It's all good, right?
I mean, I think so. Time will tell. At a minimum, we've got a lot of hours of us just chatting. And I think about that too, we recovered from the death doula. Yeah. And I think, but it's good to memorialize these conversations. So, all right, I love you.
Love you too.
Onward and upward.
Bye.
Bye.